So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Simon, who's going to kick us off with his slides there. Oh, sorry, that's quite tight, isn't it? So Simon will be up first.
Morning, everybody. It's delightful to be here. I think it's the third year in a row Julia has run an event like this, and I'm delighted to have been asked to speak for all 3 years. My name is Simon Howard. I'm the Chief Executive of the UK Sustainable Investment and Finance Association, UKSIF. Many of you are members. The rest of you I like to think of are members who just don't know it yet. Our members, about 240 of them, share a commitment to building a better planet and a more sustainable financial services. And the UKSIF team, our job is to help that by helping them grow their businesses. So Julia's asked me to talk briefly about the state of the market. Well, it would be remiss of me not to say that this is Good Money Week. We've been running Good Money Week now for over a decade, as it says in the top left there, campaign to help fellow citizens become aware of the sustainable and responsible options available to them, and it's our way of supporting you wonderful people in the audience. And this year it's sponsored by Aberdeen Standard Investments, and sincere thanks to Aberdeen for doing that. On the Good Money Week website is various content which may help you with your clients, some interesting statistics on the left there. This is a prompted list, but this is what people say their priorities are when you raise the topic with them. And details of public polling in that report on the right, also available on the website. So Julia's asked me to sum up very briefly what you already know, but I'll just sort of put it in context, set the context for the day. Things are definitely growing in terms of responsible and sustainable finance. These are estimates. The orange one is from the Investment Association. The blue one is from the Iris Foundation. These are estimates of the ethical sector in the UK, and they're both now up there. You probably can't see the number, both up there, 20 billion. This is the tightest definition of kind of sustainable, responsible investment. The market's now 20 billion. You'll see it's been growing steadily. And in fact, in the past year, both the estimates have risen by more than 20%. So stuff is happening. Again, this won't be news to you, but it sort of sets the context. What are the fund managers doing with your clients' money? These are the responsible investment styles as defined by the Global Sustainable Investment Alliance, and 3 dominate. This is how the money is being managed in the UK. On the left, exclusions, more than £2 trillion worth of exclusions. On the right, integration, the one which is growing fastest. These are the fund managers who consider ESG factors as they make their investment decisions. And in the centre, very big, very important, you'll all appreciate this, is engagement. The quantum of assets on which the fund managers are now engaging with the investee companies seeking to drive through change was now more than £2.5 trillion. So this is good stuff. What's happening? Well, this is a slide I've used for the past 3 years. Since these things are more than straws in the wind, I called them sticks in the wind 3 years ago, they're still happening, and I can update you on some of the important ones. So the Law Commission, the government looked at trust-based pensions, and they've changed the rules. Now, I appreciate trust-based pensions may not be relevant to the advisors in the room, but as a stick in the wind, as a sign of what's happening, they are very important. The government has changed the laws such that now trust-based schemes in their statements of investment principles have to explain their policy in respect of ESG, including climate change. So climate change is broken out and is in the regulations now. The trust-based schemes can no longer hide. And the DC, trust-based DC, now need to put their SIPs online, and UKSIF is reviewing some of these SIPs. We're looking for evidence of change. We're working with the DWP and the pensions regulator, and we hope to be able to do some naming and faming. This is the kind of background. The government gets it. Less promising is contract-based DC, which may be of relevance to some of the advisors here. The recommendations from the FCA are slightly disappointing. They don't, for instance, refer to the long time horizons, which is such a feature of pensions. So there's more work to do there, but progress nonetheless. And directly relevant to the advisors in the room, last year there was pressure on the FCA to change the regulations such that advisors have to ask new clients about ESG values. That was coming out of the EU, and it was coming out of the Corley report in the UK. Well, the EU has now formalised its request. There is a proposed alteration to MiFID coming out of the EU Action Plan. The UK's response to this is not clear. It will depend in part what the Brexit deal is, if there is one. We will obviously be pushing for advisors to have the obligation to ask clients about ESG, and that will grow the market through the advised channels substantially if and when it happens. So the market growth I've alluded to in these changes, they are all, I think, they're dancing around the subject of public opinion. UKSIF has been doing opinion polling for more than a decade now, and public opinion is undoubtedly changing. I suspect you're all seeing it when you speak to new clients, and the fund managers are picking it up through their advisor networks. So 3 years ago, the blue line is the number of people who said, I'm only concerned about whether my investments make money. And the orange line is people who said, I'm equally concerned about making money and making a difference. You'll see that even then, the number of people saying it was only about the money was in something of a decline. It had been nearly 60% in 2013, and it's down to that's 38% in 2017. Last year's interesting news, big news in my view, was this. The number of people saying it was only about the money had fallen again, and it was no longer the most popular answer. The most popular answer was, I'm equally concerned about making money and making a difference. This year, interesting again, number of people saying it's about equally making a difference has continued to rise. Number of people saying it's only about the money has flatlined at 21%. So it may be we're reaching a floor there. There's always going to be a fifth of people who are only interested in the money. The good news is that means there's 80% who aren't. If we just look in a bit more detail there, on the left, only the money, you see it dropping sharply. In fact, if you add up the only the money and the mainly the money answers from 2017, it was 61%. That's fallen to 33% now. So, that's a quarter of the population have changed their attitude in just 3 years. Where have they gone to? They've gone here. The equally concerned has grown a lot. And this year, no doubt on the back of Extinction Rebellion, the net zero target, the number of people there on the right-hand side saying, I'm only interested in making a difference, has probably quadrupled, quintupled in a year, up to 14%. Lots of people don't know. They're important. They're important because they will shift our way in time, I'm sure. And I think what I'd say to this audience is, it's those end 4 columns. This is the opportunity for the advisors. These are people who already want to make a difference and need advice on which funds and which techniques, or they're the don't knows. These are the people to whom the advisor can add real value by persuading them, by raising the topic, by inquiring, and then making suggestions. Using your expertise, this differentiates you from the other 29,900 advisors in the UK who don't do this. This is a real opportunity for you to grow your businesses and grow the market. So that's been a very rapid canter through what's going on in the UK market. I think that's where I've ended. Yes, it is. Julia's asked me to take a few questions. So if there are any questions, please just put your hand up and shout out. Any questions on market growth, where we are, or the regulation? I should say on the regulation, the panel this afternoon, Changing the World, will, I think, be able to speak in more detail about the likely regulatory changes.
Quick show of hands, maybe how many people here are UKSIF members, out of interest? Okay, so probably a good half or so, yeah. So UKSIF is really the hub of all of this. It's the centre of all of this. I'm back on the board of UKSIF. I was on the UKSIF board previously and helped create the first Good Money Week, or National Ethical Investment Week, as it was at the time. That was 13 years ago. We were working on that 12 years ago. It went live. So I recommend grab Simon during the coffee break if you can. Doing good stuff. Do you want to say a few words about what you were doing yesterday?
Yes, yesterday we gave evidence to the Treasury Select Committee, who is running an inquiry on decarbonising the UK economy and green finance. I was very impressed with their level of knowledge and the questions they threw at us, the role of banking, the role of fund managers, how we can get relatively small-scale infrastructure to larger scale in the UK, which is a particular bugbear of mine. Why can we not, why is the city not aggregating relatively small-scale infrastructure, local projects, into a more easily, more liquid, investable product? I think the Treasury Committee is all over this. They will do their report in the early part of next year, recommendations to the Treasury. I think they'll be good. We were talking about things like more emissions pricing, please. Could every government department pass all its spending requests through the prism of net zero, so that we are aligning what the government wants to do with this overarching target? The MPs seemed receptive. I'm cautiously optimistic. We will share this data with them. I mentioned some of it to them. They're politicians. They will do what their constituents want, and it does look like the constituents are coming our way. So, very encouraging. Okay, I'll end it there, Julia.
Thanks, Simon.
very much.